Checking out the new Sideshow Collectibles Star Wars 4-LOM 6-scale figure. This protocol droid turned bounty hunter stands at 12 inches tall and is currently on pre-order with an arrival date of May 2017. A big thank you to Sideshow Collectibles for providing this early sample release. 4-LOM does come included with the same hexagonal display stand that we've seen with the other 6-scale figure releases. The only exception is on the underside, you've got Star Wars written in there. I wish actually that some sort of font featured on the bottom would have also been featured somewhere on the top as well, as opposed to just a hexagonal display stand. It still has the adjustable crotch clip in which the figure can stand in. Due to the nature of the way that the undercarriage of his torso is, it doesn't seem like it always sits all that great on that little clip. Because the clip is the way that it is, and because, well, the under section here of 4-LOM is more of a rounded point of connection, it doesn't, again, really sit all that well on the stand. It does stand on it, but you do feel like a lot of times the figure is going to be levitating on it more so than actually standing fixed. For that, you might want to just bring the neck down a little bit on the adjustable neck there, and you can get him to stand. Again, it doesn't sit very securely. If anything, you can plank him more so on his feet, and then just kind of have the crotch clip holding him upright. As a personal interest, actually, I always liked 4-LOM, and I always hoped that 4-LOM would have been released in a 6-scale figure. Yeah, I know a lot of people go to Boba Fett as kind of their go-to favorite bounty hunter, but there was always something about 4-LOM, even seeing him in the movie, that I really liked about him. He had this almost praying mantis look to him, kind of something like, he looks almost like in the face, and this is probably going to be to the extreme of a comparison, but he kind of reminded me of Mothra. He had like a Mothra's face, essentially on kind of like a C-3PO, which would be a protocol droid, on a protocol droid's body. And there was something about the mashing of the two odd, polar opposite type of genres kind of coming together, creating 4-LOM here. And as a result, he's always been one of my personal favorites when it came to bounty hunters. Again, I liked Boba Fett, but I think really as a second close to a Boba Fett, I always really thought 4-LOM here was a pretty neat looking bounty hunter. His face is definitely a more extreme case of what a protocol droid's face or head should look like. Again, it's kind of like an amalgamation of an organic looking head, and then you couple that with what looks to be kind of like a gas mask on the front, these big giant bug eyes, and then you've got the more, technical end of it of being the droid itself. It was always such a cool looking design for me. And Sideshow, I think, did a great job when it came to releasing this guy in a 6-scale figure. One of my favorite aspects to the figure itself is his eyes. Now, his eyes don't light up, although if you get the light reflecting off the lights, the eyes themselves just right, it does look like they glow a green, which is a really nice touch. I thought initially that it might be backlit somehow. There was some sort of something was penetrating the back of his fully molded back of his head here. But it's just the way, like if you tip the figure slightly left or slightly to the right, you can see how light hitting it immediately lights this whole section up. He's got some great sculpting, like right around the front area here, right around like the eyes, but more especially this point here is the area that I seem to be gravitating more towards. Beautiful looking sculpt, and I also really like the coloring. The coloring is almost like a brownish gray. It's almost got even like a hint of purple going in there as well. He's got a couple of these front antennas sticking out the front. I don't know if you would constitute them antennas or not. And if you spin around the figure on the back, he's got these little spikes sticking out from the back. And even as cool the head sculpt is, he actually has a fair bit of articulation. You can tilt his head side to side, up and down. You can also rotate the head all the way around. Fans of C-3PO should see some very familiar aspects here on 4-LOM as well. In fact, The arms themselves, the legs themselves, and even in some regards the front portion, although tooled differently and slightly changed in design, read very much like a C-3PO design. Although quite the contrast in coloring from C-3PO's very vibrant chromes and golds and yellows, 4-LOM's got instead more favored a dark, dingy, again this kind of brownish gray color that basically represents from head to toe the coloring on this figure here. But what really shines on this figure is all these little creases, these little indentations, these little areas where it's been sculpted that has been washed with this orange. And the orange, almost kind of borderline more so a rust, runs basically all like the little areas and recessed sections of the details. So his shoulders, his arms, his forearms also have it as well. Even like right down to his hands, he's got that little bit of that orangey rust color. Really looks good. That rusted coloring all running down into his leg areas as well. Basically anything that could be panel lined is panel lined here on 4-LOM in that rusted coloring. He does not look like certainly a protocol droid that just has been built. He's been in the trenches for a very, very long time. So areas even the areas where his legs move, he's got that rust colored covered in there. Even like the hinges, the hinged areas have also been painted in there with that rust orange. Mind you, it's not all completely that rust. In fact, some of the little areas you can see there's this scratched in silver that's been painted in around like the leg areas. I notice it more so in the feet or in the boots of the droid here. He's got that silver, especially on the undersides of his boots, of his feet here. He's got that silver that's been painted in there. Slightly washed. It's not a complete solid silver. And in fact, actually, this foot here doesn't have nearly the same amount of silver that this one here has. He gets a little bit of that as well in his fingertips, where that silver now has been exposed. I guess just worn away over the process of him existing. Nice sculpting there also in the hands. Very, very small, intricate little details that they've added to the figure here. And then he's got these very jagged looking, kind of gnarly looking prongs that are sticking out from the tops of his hands. Liking also the torso here. This area here doesn't feel like it's a soft rubber. In fact, it probably feels more like a plastic. But I like the little grate work here. Also, that's been painted in more of a lighter silver color, which is a nice contrast then to the browns and the oranges here. Being a similar protocol droid to C-3PO as well, he's got the same pistons that connect areas of the biceps to the forearms also to the interior of the bicep. When you do move the arms back and forth, it's a very clever use of mechanics where they've got these little pistons or these little connecting points here that run back and forth in the slot cavities. He's got one in the forearm, and then he's actually got one running on the back bicep or back of the arm itself. They're very clever in the way that they're constructed. Of course, they are a little on the fragile side, that these could come loose at any given point. My C-3PO did do that, where one of these did come loose. So when you are moving the arms back and forth, you do have to be careful that you're not accidentally jerking or moving these too fast. But I really do like that something like this has been incorporated into the collectible here. They've kept the accessories pretty light on this guy. What he does include is a pair of interchangeable hands. This hand was already currently in his socket when I get him out of packaging. I just swapped the hand out, but it is a hand for holding his rifle. Then he also has a more relaxed palm. Now he does have basically essentially two relaxed palms, one slightly gripping hand, and then one hand for holding the rifle that has the extended finger to reach the trigger. In addition to that, 4-LOM also comes included with a Blastech DLT-19 heavy blaster rifle, which looks super impressive. It's been cast in what appears to be black, but has been washed with some nice weathered silver there. It has a hingeable clip, which we can just untab. You have to be a little careful on this one here, this part right here, but this unhinges, and this part here can also open up. Like that. And then he's also got a back section here, which can untap and just can open up, I'm guessing, to change out the magazine. Really, again, some beautiful looking paintwork done to it, and love the fact that it's this super long blaster. Of course, it is accurate to the movies, so I do appreciate that. Other than that, he doesn't really come with any other accessories, but he does come not necessarily with really the accessories one would want to have him come with. More importantly, again, the blaster is a very nice looking touch. One thing I have noticed, though, about the trigger hand, it is a little difficult to get it into the actual trigger. I find it's easier to put it in almost on a slight angle and then rotate the finger around to get it lodged into the area where the trigger is. And it holds extremely well. Because it holds extremely well, it also sometimes is difficult then to get back out, where I find it assists just to put your finger through it and almost push the finger out, and then it will detach itself from the actual palm. Faux lam gets a head ball joint, rotates technically all the way around. You can also hinge the head back and forth, which I do like quite a bit, and you can also move that up and down. The arms rotate all the way around, as well as what we already looked at. There's that hinge in the elbow, again being very careful of these little side pistons. His hands do rotate. There's also a slight hinge to it, but hinging it, sometimes moving it back and forth, it may pop itself out of the socket here. His upper torso ball joint hinges back and forth, forward and back, slight rotation. Nothing really in the waist necessarily, but a forward and back motion on the legs. The legs are a little more trickier because it's got kind of like C-3PO, because his leg extends further out by the plate of the metal here. It does move forward and back, but it hinges out, and you can only really get it to about there. It doesn't really give you any more clearance for that, and it hinges back to about there. Forward and back motion on the legs, forward and back motion on the feet, and for those who crave ankle pivots, he's got the ankle pivot there as well. So, like I said, Faux lam is going to be released in May 2017 with a limited edition release of 2,000 pieces. He's currently on pre-order over at Sideshow Collectibles for $210. If you guys are interested in adding this guy to the ranks of the bounty hunters in the Galactic Empire, you can click the link down below and you can order this guy today. Like I said, he's going to be on pre-order with a release date of May 2017. Today we're having a look, though, at the Sideshow Collectibles Faux lam 6-scale figure release. If you guys like what you see in this video, hit it with a like. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button down below and you're good to go. If you also are a fan of 6-scale figure reviews, I've got a playlist there for you as well for your viewing pleasure. I'll see you guys next time.